And what has happened is when you start to look at all of these small incremental changes, all those wing flaps together, I realized just how much I've come or how much I've gotten ahead in just a very short period of time. Welcome to the C-Suite Mentor, the place where you will learn the tools, strategies, and mindset to scale your business sustainably and build a lasting legacy. I'm your host, Theresa Cantley. As a fellow CEO, I understand what it takes to scale a business to 7 and multiple 8 figures. It's not necessarily what you might think. It requires a complete shift in how you think, strategize, and execute key actions in your business. My mission is to help CEOs step back into the driver's seat of their business by optimizing their operations, empowering their team, and staying in total alignment with their big vision. So, are you ready to exchange everything that hasn't worked for strategies that will? You're in the right place, so let's go. Hello, and welcome back. Today, we are going to talk about something that I know for me, I've had a difficult time kind of grasping over my lifetime, and is something that has come up for me. And I thought, if it came up for me, it probably is coming up for a lot of people, or a lot of people deal with this. But also in having conversations with clients of mine and different things that they're navigating right now, they're experiencing the same thing. So it is this concept of small incremental changes. And I heard something the other day about the butterfly effect, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and how small incremental changes can make huge shifts. So how this all came up for me is back in 2023, I had a lot of different things happen. I had a lot of challenges in my business. I had a lot of things that happened that I wasn't expecting, a lot of unexpected things, a lot of downturns, a lot of hurdles I had to get over. And it was just really hard, really hard. And I spent probably the last quarter of 2023, really digging in and trying to understand why these things happen. What did I need to do to fix it? And I remember having a conversation with my husband where he brought up the first thing of, you need to just take small steps. Just take small steps. Because there were days where I was like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to take the next step. I don't know what to focus on. And it gets really frustrating because you want to make these, especially as an entrepreneur, you want to make these big leaps right away, especially when something's challenging. And I know for myself, I do that because I just want to get out of that yucky feeling, that frustrated feeling, that discouraged feeling, and get to the other side of it, feel good, and get back to, living into my purpose and, doing the work that I was meant to do. But what I found, and I learned it really, really big in 2023, is that I struggle with patience. And I think that's why I struggle with understanding that just taking small steps is going to lead to something big. I want to take these big Herculean actions, which, like I said, I am not alone in this because I know a lot of people want to do that. We want to hurry up and get to the other side of what's happening just because we don't want to stay in that space. We want good stuff to happen. We want success to happen. We want forward movement to happen. If you're going through a challenge, we want to get to the other side of the challenge and keep moving forward. And when that's not happening fast enough, it gets frustrating. If you struggle with patience, which, like I said, I struggle with being patient. It is something that I've had to deal with my whole entire life. And my husband reminds me of it all the time. He's always like, Theresa, you just need to be patient. Things will happen. Things will come. Things will, be how they're going to be. You just need to have patience. So I was doing a workout. I started a new workout. If you've ever heard of it, it's chop wood, carry water. I always do chop water, carry wood. I was doing this this workout program, great program if you've ever heard of it. And he talks about the butterfly effect. And it's something that I've heard. I've seen the movie. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, but it was one of those creepy movies. But the butterfly effect, and what is it? And the way that he put it is that butterflies in Africa flapping their wings will cause hurricanes across the sea. Now, we all know that, scientifically, and I looked this up, there's a whole scientific explanation for the butterfly effect and a whole scientific thing behind it, which I'm not going to get into because that's not how I'm looking at it. But when we think about these small, tiny butterflies flapping their wings, and if many of them are flapping their wings, these tiny butterflies, that it could create monumentous change, or it could create a monumentous shift. And I thought about it because, of course, he was talking about making small changes or taking small steps in your health and fitness journey. I have always been somebody that's worked out. I've worked out my whole entire life. At one point, I was addicted to working out. And past couple years, I've had some medical stuff and haven't been able to work out as much as I would like. And I'm getting back into it. So for me, from the standpoint of when I was thinking about it with my fitness journey, just taking these small steps to create this incremental change that's going to lead to a big transformation in my health and fitness journey. When I look back on 2023 and I look back on in the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, I got big goals. We are either going to do this or this. And I got these big goals. And I was like going gangbusters, doing these big actions. And of course, what happened is I started to burn out again, which is what I went through in 2023, mega burnout. And my husband said, you need to just focus on those small incremental changes that you've made. And in looking back, I didn't understand what he was talking about because I didn't think I really made these small incremental changes until I had a second conversation with a very dear friend of mine. And we were talking about different conversations I've had to have with people, different hard decisions I've had to make in my business. And she said the same thing. She said, Theresa, these are small incremental changes that you've made. Having that tough conversation that probably a few years ago you wouldn't have had, you would have drug it out and not had that hard conversation because you didn't want to. Or maybe you would have never had it and you would have kept somebody on who didn't really fit with the business, or, all these other small things that to me I was just missing and just breezing by them. But here, all of these small changes, redefining an offer that I have, shifting, creating some boundaries in the work that I do with the clients that I work with, just shifting my perspective on how I look at my own mental health, small incremental changes. And what has happened is when you start to look at all of these small incremental changes, all those wing flaps together, I realized just how much I've come or how much I've gotten ahead in just a very short period of time. So I started to really think about this, and I thought about it because I help a lot of my clients to get through, whether it's a challenging time that they're going through, a transition that they're going through in their business, where they're bringing in new team members, maybe they're elevating some team members that they have into leadership roles, or even, people who have had some crises in their business. I have a client who just recently had a fire in his business, and it was really trying to navigate this crisis that could have really done a significant amount of damage and potentially would have closed the business. So looking at this and saying, okay, let's take this time of challenge and this time of crisis. And let's use this to redefine what we do, to redefine the customer experience that we have in our business, how we connect with people who walk through the door, how we even provide the service that we provide. How can we make things run more efficiently? How can we create some kind of a development plan for our employees so they constantly feel like they are moving forward? So looking at all these things and using that time of crisis to redefine how you're doing stuff. But at the same time, again, what has been coming up is we need it to move faster. We need to take bigger steps. We need to, have like show this Herculean effort. And in reality, what they really needed to do is just look and see all of those small incremental changes, those small steps that they took in order to get them to the place where they were able to reopen. They were able to get the business back up and running and able to continue serving their customers. But what got them to be able to do that in a short period of time were a series of small steps done consistently, small flaps of the wings, remember? So we can't expect to create large shifts and always be taking huge actions. Huge actions need to be done with those small steps, lots of small steps to get us to have some kind of big result. We always want it to be done fast. We want to go from 0 to 5,000 in 2 days and think, oh, yay. And when it doesn't happen, we get frustrated. Why? Because we want to get to that end result. And I think what happens is, and part of the reason why we get frustrated because we're not getting there is because we're so focused on that outcome that we want. We're so focused on creating that storm overseas with our small flaps of wings that we forget about all of those things that happen along the way, all of those small steps that we took and the happiness that we felt or the joy that we felt or the lessons that we learned or the new skills that we were able to master with these small steps that got us to that, whatever that outcome is that we're looking to achieve. So if we solely just focus on the outcome, we miss all of those things in between. We miss all of that transformation that happens as we're flapping our wings. And I think the beauty in going from some kind of a challenge or some kind of a frustrating situation or some kind of an obstacle, going from that to getting through it. For me, getting through burnout and getting through frustration and getting through, a super challenging time where I had to, really dig in and do the work and getting to the other side and looking back and saying, I just consistently took one step at a time and got to this result that actually ended up turning out bigger and better than what I could have ever imagined. So as we move through this next year, and the reason why I wanted to really talk about this is because, like I said, number one, I have been going through many things myself, which I'm going to start to talk about a little bit more, because I think that just being fully authentic and transparent. I mean, building a business is not all butterflies and bubbles and unicorns and rainbows and whatnot. And it's not all, I don't want to just tell you about all the good stuff, about all the success stories and things, but I want to be real because life is real. Business is real. Building a business is real. And to talk about and understand that in order to create big change, we have to start taking just really tiny steps, really tiny steps. When a lot of people go through a crisis or when something happens, like when the recession of 2008 happened, a lot of people, they just froze and they didn't make any decisions about stuff. And that's like the worst thing that you can do. And then other people made drastic cuts in stuff, drastic moves. And that wasn't what you wanted to do. But the people that said, okay, let's look at this and see, all right, what next step do we need to take? And then what next step do we need to take after that? Those are the people that got through it and got through it in a bigger and better way than they could have ever thought possible. And I've talked about this before, but in 2008, what we did when I was working in the laboratory equipment industry, is looking at what was the thing that people really needed. Like, what was the thing in the market with everything that was happening? What was the thing that the laboratory industry really needed? And what we came up with was they needed a specific type of refrigeration, ended up doing a private label refrigeration line, building it one small step at a time, and took it to several $1 million in less than a year. So again, it is those small incremental changes and seeing those small steps and realizing that journey, that process that you're on, going from point A to point B. So as we're moving through this next year, and there's all this talk of a recession and there's all this talk of stuff happening, I want you to look at things in your business, whether it is making things run smoother, developing your people, hiring good people that you might have a gap that you need to fill, or just the direction that you want to continue to go. Think about it from the point of taking small, consistent steps. The butterfly effect. When we take those small steps, just not panicking about what's happening in the economy, not panicking about what all the economists are saying, not making rash decisions right now, not making these gigantic cuts or gigantic decisions right now, but looking at it and saying, okay, what are the steps that we need to take continuously and consistently to get us through this time and have 2024 be an amazing year for us? How can we have those small flaps of our wings create big change in the future? And I believe this to be true, but the more you do that, the more we focus on small flaps, small steps, incremental changes. And along the way, we celebrate those incremental wins that we have from those incremental changes that we made. We can start to give ourselves momentum. We can give ourselves ambition to keep moving forward, because that motivation that we feel, it fades at times. But if we can stay connected to our ambition by building momentum, by taking those small incremental steps, we're going to be able to get to that result that we're looking to achieve faster than we thought possible. But also, we're going to be enjoying the process that we went through to get there, which I think that is more important than the result and the outcome itself. So remember the butterfly effect. When you start working out, you start off slow. You lift lighter weights so that you can build up small changes, small incremental changes every day done consistently. It's the same thing with our businesses. We need to take, whether you are launching something new, whether you are experiencing growth, whether you are experiencing a challenge, small incremental changes, celebrated all the time, celebrated consistently, done consistently, is going to lead to a bigger outcome than we could have ever imagined. So until next week, let's all take care of each other just a little bit more than we already do. Hey there. Thank you so much for listening. If you found value on this show, please follow the podcast so you never, ever miss an episode. And I would love, love, love if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify for me. Even better, share the show with a fellow business owner ready to step fully into their CEO leadership role. Because right now, more than ever, the world really needs next level leaders. And by the way, did you know you can text me all your questions and get real-time feedback? You absolutely can. Just text the word CEO to me at 610-215-2838 to get connected. One last goodie for you before I go. If you're ready to scale your business and have a co-creator working right by your side, my C-Suite Mentor Program may be perfect for you and your possible new second in command. Just visit thecsuitementor.com to get started.